Live from the Panera Studios, it's the Reading with Robin show, brought to you each week by my friends at Panera Bread, where their Pink Ribbon Bagel campaign just started to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You can support local breast cancer charities just by purchasing a Pink Ribbon Bagel throughout October. So go to your local Panera Bread and support this amazing campaign with the Pink Ribbon Bagel all throughout October. Panera is my favorite place to stop by for a cup of coffee, hang out with friends, and it's a great place for book clubs to meet. It's all at Panera Bread. And now, enjoy the show. It's Pub Day. It's Caroline Leavitt's brand new and 11th novel, Cruel, Beautiful World. I've been a fan of Caroline Leavitt since the day I first read her work. Into Thin Air, Girls in Trouble, To Pictures of You, and Is This Tomorrow? And as I just mentioned, the 11th novel. It's tough to play favorites with novels. Everybody that listens to Reading with Robin and follows me knows what a huge fan I am of this beloved author and friend's work. Welcome back and back and back to Reading with Robin, Caroline Leavitt.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of yours too, Robin. You know that.
There's a lot of love going back and forth. You're one of my favorite writers, people to talk about, and the resounding theme whenever your name is mentioned is what a gracious and generous writer you are. And that's across.
I love to hear that.
It's across the board. It's just, it's true. It is, and I think about all the times I've reached out to you, or just like a last-minute thing, or an opinion, or some support, and you're always right there. People can find you on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You always have so many fun things going on, and I have to just say, I was on Facebook, of course, and I saw you were looking for new earrings at a street fair. Did you find them?
Yes. No, I was really surprised. I didn't have anything, but that's all right. I have 70 pairs. So
well, I know you love.
Wait a little longer.
You love your earrings. Was it were you in? You're in New Jersey. Were you there, or was it a New York street fair?
No, it was Hoboken has this arts and music fest twice a year, and usually they have great earrings, but this time they didn't. So that's all right.
Okay. Well, you sound like you're resigned to the fact that you came home without new earrings, but there may be a new pair in your future. You travel extensively, and the tour for Cruel, Beautiful World, and if you are anywhere that Caroline is going to be, you must go visit CarolineLeavitt.com. And I am exhausted looking at that amazing list of events. And this book, I don't remember when I first got the galley, but the cover is just, this will jump off the shelf and into your hands. And this book really, I can't even stand how much I love this book. I mean, you've seen, I've been gushing
so
all over the place with everybody, but it's, you must be so, you know, it's out in the world. What's that like, and what are you hearing? I mean, I'm hearing so many great things. It's an indie pick. It's everything, you know.
It's very, very strange. As you know, I've had a really weird career. My first 8 books were failures. They really didn't sell.
They led you here, not failures.
Yes, but they led me to this place.
Right.
And I didn't start having any sort of success until I got to Algonquin, who I call the gods and goddesses. And when I was writing the book, I really wasn't thinking in terms of, is this good? Is this bad? Is it going to sell? I was just really thinking about the story. And then once I turned it into my editor and they accepted it, then the fair starts coming on. And then I started wondering, are people going to like this? Are they going to get what I'm trying to do, or what if I get terrible reviews? And you never know. And review space has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller over the years, and there's so many books to compete with. And I was really worried that it was a fall book, because fall books are when a lot of the bigger books come out, and I was really afraid that I was going to be swallowed up. And to find that I haven't been, and so far the advance buzz has been sort of amazing. I just sort of stare at it and kind of wonder, because, you never know. You never know. You just sort of hope that a book will reach readers.
Well, you don't ever know. And the thing that's interesting, a few things, and I guess I didn't remember when you started with Algonquin because they're one of my very favorite presses ever. They adore you, as well they should. And it does, and the timing of a book, because there are books
Right.
that are sometimes slated for a certain time and then are changed and bumped around depending on what else is coming out. And in many things, timing does matter, and you don't know
Yes.
what anybody else is writing. You're writing in a vacuum, and you and your editor and
Right.
your team are all working, and then you can come to find out that there's no books are no two books are the same, but a theme could be alike, or somebody does it a little differently, or it can be so tricky. But the fall books, there are a lot of really big fall books, and Caroline Leavitt's Cruel, Beautiful World is one of them. It is a must-read, and I'm seeing so much wonderful buzz, and it's so well-deserved. And I know one of the Reading with Robin book clubs won an advance copy, an advance set for their book club, and they met with you, and I got the most beautiful emails. Just people were so excited. It's a treat to get to do that, but when they love the book, even more so. Now, you were just here, and I didn't get to see you, but you were here for the New England Independent Booksellers,
Right.
and then you're back and forth. I mean, go to CarolineLeavitt.com, check out
Yeah.
events, and picture her on the map going north, going south, going east, going west, in search of earrings and readers everywhere. So what did you think? I was so bummed that you were in Rhode Island. I had Point Street Reading Series, so that's why I didn't get to come.
I know. I was actually going to come to it that evening, but then a bunch of booksellers invited me to dinner, and I said, okay,
good.
I'm going to go to dinner. And dinner was fabulous.
Where did you
Absolutely
go?
Fabulous.
Where did they take you?
I'm not sure the name of it.
You said it was a tapas place.
And it was a tapas place. It was fabulous. It was so, so good.
I must figure that out. I know that's right, and I thought maybe it was the one across. So many of the restaurants change names. I think I know where you went, but I'm not sure. And I know you went to the Grange when you were here last time. And I should say,
fabulous.
I love the Grange. Caroline Leavitt will be at Point Street Reading Series the third Tuesday of the month, so it is October 18th. Caroline has the distinction of being a returning author to a series that is only in its 8th month. But Caroline was here for our very first series, and people are very excited that you're coming back to read in October when this book comes. Well, the book is out, so the book will be pretty brand new, and I'm telling people to read it and bring their book clubs, and you'll be back, and we can figure out where you ate.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that it actually is one of the best reading series that I've ever been, and I'm not just saying that because I love you and I love the work you do. There's a vibe to this particular reading series where it's so welcoming, and it's a packed house, and you can sit there and have wine and listen to a bunch of wonderful writers reading, and it's just a lot of fun. The writers love it as much as the audience.
It's so wonderful to hear that. I'm getting so much feedback really from the audience and from the writers hearing, because you start something, like a book, like whatever you're putting out there, and I had a pretty good sense that it would work. It's well located. The authors are all awesome. And the Reading with Robin gang and all of these new readers that we're meeting. We do have 1 million people here in Rhode Island. So there are a lot of, it's a big community. And I'm just, if I could go door to door and meet everybody and make sure they knew about this. But I pretty much do that wherever I am. So I'm glad that the vibe we're trying to set is the one that you feel while you're here. And yeah, and people are really excited that you're coming back, and then you're in Connecticut, you're in Boston, you're all over the place.
Yep.
Oh, and then you're back for Book Festival. So a lot going on. You can find Caroline again at CarolineLeavitt.com, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. Which is your favorite social media platform?
I'm mostly on Facebook and Twitter, though I'm also on Instagram, and there's a new one now called Litzy, which is for readers, and I'm on that now.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think that's enough. I don't think I can do any more.
It is plenty. I know when I first saw Litzy, maybe over the summer, I downloaded the app, and I was just talking about it with somebody. I have to revisit it. I think when things become part of your routine, your daily life, and you sort of fit them in, you don't have to think, okay, now I need to do this, I need to check here, but you do a lot. And on top of that, you're a manuscript editor. So
Yep.
people who are interested in that should contact you through CarolineLeavitt.com. And you have the most awesome ever blog, Caroline Leavittville, where you're so supportive of authors and you review books. And
Yep.
a lot. You do.
I do.
Certainly a lot. And then I saw on top of that, after the earring search, you were going back to work on your novel in progress. So it's
Yep.
never, right? It's just always something going on.
I like it that way. I think I'm like you in that I like to have a million things going on at once. It just makes me happier.
Right, there's energy. So if you think you're doing one thing and then you think about doing something else, there's always a project sort of spinning. So they're all going on about the same time in different time zones or different planes. But right, the plates are spinning. Your mind is always. Are you just always awash with ideas and that kind of thing?
I don't sleep.
There's sleeping is overrated, Caroline. For people who want to be doing a lot of things, right? I mean, how much sleeping can one person do? Oh, and I'm also looking. Oh, I will see you at Miami. We'll be at the Miami Book Festival also.
Yep.
I'm going to be there. I'm so excited.
Oh, good.
And the book festivals are a lot of fun. And for people who are listening, some of them, they have a component to them where it's fan-based, and some of them are, trade also. But the Miami Book Fair, if you're around or you're going to Miami, that's one that you really don't want to miss. And there are so many good fairs to go to, and you get to meet your favorite writers, and it is an amazing energy, and you leave with way more books than you'll ever really be able to read.
I know.
But we live in hope of reading them. What are you reading right now on top of everything else?
Oh, I just read and reviewed this wonderful book called Carousel Court by Joe McGinnis Jr., which is set in California. It's about downsizing and a failing economy and a failing marriage, and there are coyotes in it and dogs and it just was this gritty, astonishing, surprising novel. And the other novel that I absolutely loved is this book called Shelter in Place by Alexandra Makesick, and it's the most original, incredible, extraordinary novel I've ever read, which it's about a lot of different things about mental illness and love and passion and things falling apart, and just two great novels that I want everybody on the planet to read.
Well, there you go. And I heard from Alex. He said that you said to my way, and I said, Caroline says that. Please send me your book. I cannot miss this. But I love that you do that, and I really appreciate it, because who wants to miss an awesome book? Nobody. Nobody wants to miss them.
Right. Nobody. And there's so many books out that a lot of times you do miss them.
Well, and that's the thing. People do enjoy. There are so many websites and Facebook pages, and if you're on Twitter and you sort of search through hashtags of books, because people want to know which are the ones that I don't want to miss, and especially hearing an author say these books are amazing, do not miss. That is like one of my favorite questions ever, and I really hope sometimes when I ask that you'll say one I already know, because then it's not one that I'm adding. But those are two new ones. So now to get to Cruel, Beautiful World, how did this story emerge in your head? Like, what were you thinking about, and what did you want to sort of put together to get this unbelievable storyline, this page-turning, thrilling, heartfelt, family-centered, well-imagined novel out there?
Thank you. Well, I actually started thinking about this novel when I was 17, but I didn't know how to write it back then. And what had happened is a friend of mine in high school who was going with a much older boyfriend for 5 years, and she was engaged to be married to him. And she kept talking about how he was a little bit controlling, but she still stayed with him. And when I got out of high school, I found out later that she had broken up with him, and he had gone and gotten a knife and come back and stabbed her to death 43 times.
Oh, my God.
God,
Caroline, I did not know that. Oh, my.
Yeah, I was so haunted and so upset. But I kept thinking, if she had been with him for 5 years, did she not know that he could be violent? And if she did know, why did she stay? I just didn't understand it until 10 years afterwards, when before I met my husband, I actually was in my own kind of controlling relationship, and I began to understand how you can stay in a relationship like that because you don't really realize it, especially if you're with somebody who's very soft-spoken and they don't raise their voice and they never do anything physically abusive to you. And I didn't realize it until at the end of 2 years when I discovered that this guy, he was monitoring what I ate, and I was 100 pounds. Yeah. He didn't want me to see my friends, and he didn't want me to see his friends because he thought that I was flirting with them. And he literally rewrote a couple of pages of my novel without my permission. Wow. And I was really stunned. So I left that relationship, and I still tried to write the book, and I couldn't until about 4 years ago when I admit I was looking at clickbait. I was looking at, 10 celebrities who really aren't nice people.
It happens. It happens. Yeah.
And I happened to see this notification from my high school friend's sister, who was still obsessed about what had happened, what was her role in what had happened. And as soon as I heard that, I felt, I have a story. It's about, sisters. And I knew I wanted to set it right in that cusp where all the idealism of the 60s started veering into the more dangerous times of the 70s. And that's how the book started. Wow. And it just grew from there.
That's just unbelievable also because the nugget of a story and also where you are in your life that you're able to tell it the right way because you're that kind of writer, so true to the story and where you feel you're able to do it justice and make it something that you want to be writing about and how you want to reimagine it or hope that it would play out or would really be able to give it the strength to go where it needed to. So because it had to be a difficult story. I mean, what was that like trying to write that and getting back into your head of your friend, of your first relationship too?
It was very difficult. It was really, really hard. It was really painful, and I never wrote a book that had so much, control and sort of violence that was juxtaposed against, the innocence of the late 60s and this young girl. And there were a whole lot of rewrites. I mean, I think I did about 6 rewrites before I sent it to my agent, and she had me rewrite it twice. Wow. Then I sent it to my Algonquin editor, who's just fabulous. She's just fabulous. Her name is
they love
Miller.
You, and they love you there.
She is just fabulous, and she had me rewrite it, and her suggestions were so huge, but they were so exactly on the mark. In fact, both Andrew and I are going to be in Poets and Writers. They wanted to see some of the editorial letter that she wrote me. And if you look at the letter, the letter's like, change this, change that, this isn't wrong, find this, do this. And the thing is, when you're a writer and you've been doing this for a while, you look at those letters and you want letters like that because you want to get better. Mm-hmm. But if you're a debut writer and you see a letter like that, it's very scary.
I can only imagine.
Like, I didn't do my job right. But so I worked really, really hard on this, and it was really, I was exhausted when I finished.
Because I could feel that as I was reading it, and also to have that connection to your agent, to your editor, that trust. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, maybe because the book is just out, and I'm on the phone with Caroline Leavitt, and it's Cruel, Beautiful World. Beautiful title also. I'm curious which things were changed and what, but since people haven't read it yet, I certainly am not going to ask you what was changed ever and give that away. And thank you so much for including me in the acknowledgments. That is an honor that is always
absolutely
so beyond meaningful to see.
Well, I call you the patron saint for writers and readers, and I mean it. And I mean it. It's just you do so much for readers and so much for writers, and we all love and appreciate you. It's a big thing that you do. It's really a big and important thing.
Well, it's thank you. I mean, that's beyond hearing that so meaningful. It's all from my heart and from this passion of reading, and I grew up, as a reader, and I always think about that connection that I have to people who are readers, starting with my mother, and having, that connection through books. And when I meet people and you see that spark of, you're talking about a book and it's a similar book or it's one you've each read, and it's just, there's immediate knowing about somebody. And to share that is I don't know, it's, never knew that it would turn into this when I started all this, and meeting everybody and having such an entree into, like, this is like the biggest rock stars ever to me. They're writing these books that we can't wait to get home to get to. I mean, what's better than that, really? But this book is just, I can only imagine that, and I'm thinking as I'm reading it, those connections of the juxtaposition of, well, we won't give too much away, of course, but say Lucy at the farm, on the farm, and then the fear of what's going on with her guy, or, again, it's always tricky to me, especially when a book first comes out, but talk about what people should know about the storyline, about Lucy and her sister Charlotte and Iris, and the backstory, too, is so cool. You just did such an awesome job with this book, Caroline.
Thank you. Well, the basic story is that in 1969, 16-year-old Lucy falls in love with, she's a wild child of the 60s, and she falls in love with her English teacher, who's 30 years old. And initially he tells her, no, this can never be. And eventually he succumbs to her, and they both fall in love. And it's the 60s, so he wants to be a teacher at one of the free schools. Free school meaning there are no classes, there are no grades, it's very progressive. And he wants to go live on kind of off the grid on a farm, because there was a back to the land movement in the 70s. So she goes out with him, and at first she just vanishes from her home, and at first she thinks it's a back to the land paradise, and it very quickly starts turning into a nightmare because she's isolated, and he's very controlling, and she misses her mother and her sister, and he doesn't want her to contact them. And something happens to her that I don't want to divulge.
We cannot divulge.
And her sister, her older sister Charlotte, is 4 years older and has always taken care of Lucy. And she's sort of mad at Lucy for vanishing and troubling everybody. And she's also in the midst of taking care of Iris, who is aging and becoming less and less able to take care of herself. So a lot of the book is really about sisterly love. It's about what we control and what we can't control. It's about there's the backdrop of the Mansons. It's really about how some things can be prevented and some things cannot, and how sometimes you just have to let life wash over you, and you can still find value and meaning in your life, and there still can be beauty.
Well, and that's why this title is just could not be. I just love this title, and
my son Max gave it to me.
Did he? Oh no, my whole show was an interruption. You know that, Caroline. Oh, I love that. Did he read it and then come up with it, or were you telling him about it? How did he come up with the title?
I was telling him about it, and he was sitting there, and he said, oh, Cruel Beautiful World. And I said, oh, my God, that's such a great title. And so I used it, and they liked it. Usually nobody ever likes my titles. So
we've had that discussion, and I know sometimes there are many, the essence of do not get too attached to this title. You can't even get attached, apparently, to the manuscript, but for sure the title or any of that.
Right.
So that was Max. How awesome. I mean, he's awesome anyway, but that's really big. And I also it's easy to remember, it makes sense, and it's just spot on. But the sister storyline certainly drew me in, as I am with my sisters. So, and responsibility and, sort of taking care of yourself, but where we're all responsible for each other. And they have an interesting sisterhood and family life, and so many layers to that too, because it's never really as it seems. And
exactly.
And then the guilt that washes over. And I can't wait to hear the stories that come out of your tour, because I am sure as people are reading Cruel Beautiful World, and go to Caroline's site, CarolineLeavitt.com, find her on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and also now on Litsy. and who knows where else by then. But I think people will want to tell you their stories of relationships, of controlling, right? And another thing with the book clubs, and I always say it, and it can be a book club of you and your buddy. People, it doesn't need to be a formal book club. Just wherever you sit down and discuss books, or online somewhere discussing books, there's a book club. I have them at the supermarket all the time. Informal, pop up in aisle 2 book clubs. It just happens.
Right, exactly.
And people will identify in some way, or they'll remember that time, where things quickly changed from the late 60s into the 70s and what was happening. And the Manson tie-in is awfully clever. In so many ways, and I just could not love this book more. It's Cruel, Beautiful World, and come see Caroline when she's here in Rhode Island on October 18th. She'll be reading at Point Street Reading Series, and go to Facebook, Point Street Reading Series, and find Caroline, like I said, everywhere. Go to the events page at Caroline Leavitt. If Caroline is coming to a town near you, go see Caroline. Do not want to miss this. I could not be more excited for you. The blurbs on the back of this book, from like all of my favorite people, from Robin Black, who will also be reading October 18th with you, to Courtney Sullivan and Sarah Gruen and Christina Baker Klein, who says, a riveting novel about love and loss, secrets and lies, and what it means to be a family. Its twists and turns will keep you reading late into the night. And this is one of those books that's what happened. It's like 2:30. And, are you a late night reader?
Oh, yeah. I stay up
you
until
said you don't
2
sleep.
a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't sleep. I stay up until 2 a.m. and then I tend to be up, and then usually I will wake up at 11 a.m.
Oh, okay. That's your
morning.
time clock. Because
that's my time clock.
Yeah, I like to read until I start realizing that I'm reading the same thing several times, or my eyes are crossing.
Right.
Or I'm like, wait, did I read that page? That's when it's time to put it down. But I often wake up with the book somewhere in my bed, It's just that's just the way it
Me
is.
Too.
Yeah, and if you don't feel like getting out right away, well, there's your book right there in your bed. And it's, I don't know, there's nothing like it. And the people who enjoy reading with Robin and the interviews know what I'm saying. I mean, it's that enthusiasm. And as, I was talking about, knowing that you have this book waiting for you. So if you have not picked it up yet or pre-ordered, because I know I saw people all over Facebook ordering and talking about this, it is Cruel, Beautiful World. Make sure you do not miss this, and check in on Facebook on Reading with Robin, and let's talk about it. Oh, and it's actually a pick, right? On top of that, we're discussing this with you.
Yep.
And it's, right, well, you'll be here in October for Point Street, but Cruel, Beautiful World is the December pick. And I think it's the first Thursday in December. I don't have that in front of me, but I think, is it December 1st? I don't know, but we're going to be talking about this on Facebook. It's going to be a lot of Cruel, Beautiful World, all fall, all Caroline Leavitt.
I hope so.
Check in there, and thank you so much, and all the best, and I will see you real soon.
Oh, Robin, yeah, I can't wait. And thank you so much for everything, not just this interview, but everything.
And right back at you, and thank you for all the page-turning entertainment and love for writers and readers and all of it. Kindred spirits, that's what we are.
Okay, yes, we are.